Barcelona, welcome back to MWC 2022.
We believe that this new age of connectivity is characterized by both evolution and revolution. Intelligent innovation and automation is now happening everywhere.
We inspire our members. We inspire our fans.
Not only do we create content, but we create creators that create content.
Millions of underprivileged were provided access to online capabilities, which enabled education and healthcare.
So the big companies have always had the tools, but now we're giving those tools to the small companies.
It would be great if next year we gather here and we realize we have developed a global standard that will ensure us and our children and grandchildren to feel safe and comfortable about this new reality.
So Zee, great to be with you here again, right at the heart of MWC, and we can hear it in the background as well. It's all happening here at the AT&T booth. So our last conversation was on Twitter, wasn't it? All talking about diversity and inclusion. Mm-hmm. Before we get to that, can we just share with the audience a little bit about more of your role at AT&T and what matters to you?
Sure, absolutely. Happy to be here.
Thank you.
You're right. I mean, it's just loud and really happening in Barcelona. It's nice to see so many people out there. I think this is maybe one of the busiest events I've seen in the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's a milestone one, isn't it? Absolutely, for sure. It's great to be back together.
Yeah, so I'm Zee Hussain. I'm the Senior Vice President for Industry Solutions for AT&T. Essentially, these are our largest customer relationships. Our go-to-market model for these customer relationships is to verticalize our sales force. So I have the pleasure and the honor of leading several verticals, including healthcare, manufacturing, and transportation.
Fantastic, great areas of innovation at the moment, spot on. So perhaps when we think about some of the key themes of the event so far, I think maybe for me, age of convergence, different technologies coming together, not just thinking about 5G here, AI over there, for example, how they all integrate. What are you seeing as key trends so far, specifically on that point about technology coming together, basically?
Yeah, I think, what you said, I would wholeheartedly agree with that, Sally. I mean, the way I think about what's happening with our clients is that this realization over the last couple of years that business agility and business flexibility, it's not just a luxury anymore, it's an existential, need now. And in order for you to be able to do that, you have to take advantage of all of these tools at your disposal. So just like you said, it's not just one thing. If you have a connected enterprise, you're collecting data in a real-time, highly efficient manner. That data is all being stored in the cloud. You're running analytics on it to get great insights on what you need to do to run the business, and all of those enable you to run the enterprise. So I wholeheartedly agree with you. It's not just one, it's all of those trends coming together, driving towards business agility and business flexibility.
Yeah, I love that. Age of convergence, and I love the point you mentioned there about agility, because one of those words, again, we hear a lot, isn't it? And I think the other thing is interesting, I've seen you support this a lot as well, agility for organizations, but also for the teams and the individuals as well. It's all of that coming together that really matters as well. I love your point on that. I'll come back to that a bit later if that's all right. But you mentioned some verticals there that you're responsible for. Could you share a little bit more with the audience about some innovation moments in a couple of those sectors, just to bring to life the things that people can see at MWC here or join in vertically? Where's the biggest disruptions across manufacturing, for example, and some of the other kind of smart areas you were looking at?
Yeah, absolutely. Healthcare, we've seen tremendous amount of innovation and disruption. One of our executives at a healthcare institution said that she has seen more innovation and transformation in healthcare in 2 years than the previous 2 decades combined.
That's a statement.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's driving that is this whole notion of care outside the four walls. So we have seen solutions like telehealth, remote patient monitoring just completely explode. Even when you're inside the four walls of the hospital, there's a lot of work being done around making it a truly connected hospital and understanding when your patients are in there, do you have the ability to be able to monitor all of their vitals, have these tools that are more predictive versus reactive. So while you're monitoring the customers, and you're looking at their vitals, do you have enough data, do you have enough signals where you already know something may happen and you're getting ahead of it versus just reacting when something happens. So that's within the four walls. Outside the four walls, certainly, as I mentioned, telehealth is exploding, remote patient monitoring is exploding, and we're talking to a lot of our customers about our IoT solutions, mobility solutions, 5G solutions around that. Manufacturing and transportation is certainly very, very interesting. Manufacturing is leading the way with a lot of the 5G solutions. As you know, Sally, with regards to 5G, a couple of years ago, most of the customers that were talking to us were really looking at it as an alternate to fixed connectivity for their WAN solutions. Right now, most customers are saying, okay, so how could I leverage 5G to get real-time insights into my business? Nowhere is it more true, more relevant than manufacturing because, on the factory floor, if you have everything connected, it's connected efficiently, the data is being stored, and actions are being taken fairly quickly, you can bring a lot of the use cases like robotics, automation, a lot of the remote operation type use cases to life very, very quickly. And certainly in transportation, we're seeing the future of the cars are the EVs, and EVs by their very nature are connected. So, lots of exciting stuff to your point. This has been extremely enlightening being here.
I love that. And also, one of your case studies I saw recently as well, like in stadiums, for example, as well. I love that, kind of all the immersive technology. We're talking about one of the booths up the way there, but again, bringing that to life and kind of personalising the fan experience. So across all sectors, really, it's making huge differences, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And from the customer, you mentioned their customer perspectives, what they're looking for, how expectations and behaviours are changing. How are you guiding that process? So how is you as an organisation kind of facilitating that journey, challenges and opportunities along the way?
Yeah, I mean, for us, really, our customers are, they're not looking for products. We could argue they're not even looking for solutions anymore. It's really about certain business outcomes that they want to get to. And as trusted advisors, we have the ability to sit down with them, understand their business, understand their transformation, the outcomes that they want to deliver, and then architect solutions that drive those outcomes. I think it goes back to exactly where you started, where you said, this is a converged story. This is about all of the trends, all of the tools coming together to deliver outcomes. So I would say those are our discussions with our customers now. Certainly they're powered by connectivity-based solutions, but they quickly evolve into security and how do you make sure that everything's going to stay secure? How do you make sure you get the best performance possible? Also, this is not about just us. It's a very large, healthy, growing ecosystem. So how are you going to make sure that this doesn't come across as disjointed solutions, but just one cohesive end-to-end solution, essentially?
No, I love that. I think your point there as well about collaboration in terms of things that are coming out from MWC so far, that kind of power of the ecosystem, is that something you're seeing as well?
Oh, no question about it. I mean, as we look across this whole floor, we've had a lot of discussions with several partners in our ecosystems, several best-of-breed solutions in other spaces as well, and it's all about collaboration. I mean, it's just, we all realize that this is not about you owning everything end-to-end, but it's really about existing in a harmonious manner to deliver the right outcome for the customer. I think you probably saw that in some of the announcements that we made this week.
Absolutely.
One of the exciting ones was our Network Edge solution, which has our partnership with Microsoft.
Fantastic.
We talked about the fact that we're joining the 5G innovation ecosystem with Ericsson. And then, of course, we announced with Nokia this ability to be able to, in a wireless environment, provide you symmetric, bandwidth outcomes as well. So that's just a subset of all of the announcements that we continue to make. But you're right, this is all about being a collaborative ecosystem.
And what about in terms of other trends as well? So I think that's a really strong one about collaboration. We'll certainly share more about those announcements as well, so people can follow up post this episode today. What about sustainability? Because again, I think we've got shared interests around that as well, and it's coming up time and time from announcements and conversations here, and kind of moving from periphery to centre stage, quite rightly so, I would say. What's your take on that one?
Oh, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I think even from an AT&T standpoint, and I think we see this consistently with other companies as well. There's certainly an expectation expectation that you're going to do your part, right? And from an AT&T perspective, we've made several announcements. One of them was, look, we're going to be carbon neutral by 2035. Exactly. We didn't stop there. We also said, okay, it is our job to work with key partners within our ecosystem to, build solutions to drive the right outcome. So we also committed that within our partnerships, we're also going to have an impact of 1 gigaton. And then the other thing, which is to your point, what we're seeing out in the marketplace is the solutions that we're delivering for our clients. There's not only a financial component of it, but they also want to understand what is the sustainability component of it. So it's very interesting because as we go and work on these business outcomes, we're also, building cases to say, okay, automation, enabling this IoT connectivity, having this intelligence across your enterprise. What does this mean in terms of reaching those sustainability outcomes? Some of those solutions are pretty straightforward, Sally. It's a smart building. So it's going to adjust depending on the climate around it and who's in the building, lights shutting on and off. That's a very, very straightforward one. But when you look at maybe an irrigation system and you put sensors all around that structure and you have them connected, you no longer are sending people to go fix things without really knowing what's going on. So this is providing an incredible amount of visibility within your infrastructure. So you're delivering a certain level of efficiency, and that efficiency also drives some really great outcomes from a sustainability standpoint too. So we're working really closely with our clients to go and define those things, how technology is an enabler to get to those sustainability outcomes.
I love that. That enablement word, I think, is at the foundation of so many things here. Absolutely. I think connectivity is the hub of the wheel, whether we're talking about business or societal value as well. So hugely significant. I think the other thing I've seen in that respect as well is not just transparency around commitments to areas like this, but kind of moving along that spectrum, if you will, like to commitment to accountability and the measurement of these aspects as well. So it's great to see that kind of actualization focus at the moment, which is brilliant. Another point, so kind of going beyond technology a little bit, maybe we could segue to look at the other things that are a foundation for this, like culture and skills alignment. Could you share a bit more about kind of like the learning culture that we've spoken about before, particularly on our Twitter conversation? I love that. But kind of what that looks like at AT&T and how you're supporting people, upskill and reskill within the organisation. But I know you do a huge amount of outreach work as well, so it'd be great to kind of shine a light on that.
Yeah, absolutely. We internally with AT&T, we got started on this journey several years ago when we realized that the external world is moving just really quickly, and as we continue to build and expand our business, it's really beneficial to us to make sure that our employees have this path to upskilling. So we were one of the first ones that came up with. We partnered with several external firms, try to understand what are the skill gaps that our employees would have as we progress. And we came up with these micro courses, nano degrees, and we encourage our employees to go and take those, especially if they wanted to go into these new and hot spaces. We also partnered with a lot of large and prominent educational institutions here to come up with very custom degrees for our employees as well. So certainly that's part of that. Just internally we do a lot of learning of our sales teams. We make sure that we're constantly exposing them to trends that are in the marketplace. There's a lot of shared learning amongst our teams as well. So that's just embedded in our culture, and we're continuing to reinforce it more and more.
Fantastic.
Certainly one of the things that we've talked about externally is the impact to the communities as well. And maybe if you saw Anne on her keynote,
absolutely.
she talked about
impressive.
the homework gap and
some
of the work that we're doing to make sure that we can drive the right societal outcomes as well with regards to education.
That's fantastic. And I know we're kind of running out of time, but I have one audience question, which was around DE&I. So what we're doing, is a question from Matthew, and you wanted to know, can you share an example, a practical one with the audience about kind of how you're embedding that? Because again, it comes across really strongly, but they wanted a recommendation, and I kind of replied back about employee resource groups, because I thought you were doing a great job about that. But could you kind of respond to that question? Because I think it's so important.
It's so important, and you're absolutely right. One of the things that we're really proud of at AT&T is our employee resource groups and how strong and how engaged and how strong of a sense of an identity these groups have. So, you know, the idea behind employee resource groups is that these are different organizations that are folks with certain commonalities, whether you know it's religion, whether it's background, whether it's coming from a certain part of the world, and the idea is to have, you know, this support group, somebody that you can talk to who may have similar experiences coming up into the business, that drives a sense of community, that gives you, you know, essentially a sounding board with other folks as well. You know, the other thing that the employee resource groups have done is every single one of them have taken the charter that not only do they want to go and advance their community, but they also want to have a positive impact within the world as well. So each of them do a lot of really excellent volunteer exercises, raise money for different causes, because they want to make sure that, you know, as we think about AT&T and our employees and our brand in the marketplace, they take a certain sense of ownership to go drive that. You know, as you know, right now in our current environment, everybody is scrambling to hold on to their best employees. They want to make sure that people show up to work, they're happy, they're engaged, they feel like they belong, and that's when they do their best work. And our employee resource group are fantastic with regards to, you know, giving them all of those things beyond everything that we do as leaders and what their management and what their other peers do. So I would say, you know, for us, the employee resource groups have been an excellent resource to drive employee engagement, as well as make sure that, you know, we are an attractive place for folks from different walks of life to come in and say, okay, I like this organization, I belong, I fit in.
And that's it. I think that's the great spectrum to kind of almost end this on, really. It's not just focusing on DEI, so diversity, equity, inclusion. It's that move beyond that to belonging as well.
Yes.
That's where we need to get to, and that's where you get people to coming together. And you don't get teams that are creative and satisfied. You get productivity, you get shared values too. That's an amazing way to end the conversation, I think, Zee. Honestly, it's lovely to speak to you today. And for everybody watching as well, we share lots of links about these projects so you can find out more, build your curiosity, and put these things into action as well. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure too. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for coming, and see you soon.